YouTube, can you hear this? Please say something if you do. Just testing the mic, testing the mic. YouTube, can you hear this? Please say something if you do. Just testing the mic, testing the mic. YouTube, can you hear this? Please say something if you do. Just testing the mic, testing the mic. So I'm sending constantly. Okay, I'll try not to fart, burp, or do anything other that will disturb you from this viewing experience. So I'm sending constantly. Okay, I'll try not to fart, burp, or do anything other that will disturb you from this viewing experience. Here we are, sorted. Kind of. So I'm connecting my sim rig now. It's home built, more or less. Well, of course, the steering wheel isn't. It's from Logitech, so it's built what a real sim racer would consider cheap plastic shit. But a real alien driver does not need to have a good equipment. He just needs good muscle memory. Or be very prodigious when it comes to driving. But here's the funny thing, for anyone listening, most likely no one, but I shall say it anyway because it's still being recorded. Every stream that you do now, like, automatically becomes one of your YouTube videos. So yeah, there's a few hours of sim driving from me on my channel. Oh, suddenly I got a call here. Just give me a sec, hold on. Suddenly I got a call here. Just give me a sec, hold on. Okay. None shall pass today unless it's the mother of my child. Okay. Mother has an uncanny knack for calling on Sundays and such. Mostly with good suggestions, Joe, but sometimes on Sundays, for some reason, you wish not to speak to your mother. Texting is fine. So what I was going to say before is that something that was privy to a select few before, like racing, is now something that almost anyone can pick up. Of course not in real life, possibly, depends on if you could get away and try to drive on a racetrack somewhere on a track day, or just go-karting. You will see that if you take one of my sim racing classes, you will improve your driving, not just in the sim world, but on the street as well. How do I know this? Well, muscle memory is blind. It does not fucking care or see if you are in a simulator or if you are at the Nordschleife for real. That's a German racetrack. Of course, not exactly the same thing, depending on the sim. Mine doesn't move like the good ones do. I just have the wheel, the pedals, and a manual shifter. The wheel gives me some force feedback, of course, and that's how I can know when to not push it further because the tires are about to lose grip or whatever. So I get all the info from the steering wheel. In real life, you kind of get it through your butt also. Sounds weird, but the information from the road and so moves up through the steering wheel and also into the seats, where you can feel kind of some of the stuff happening. Enough said. Let's try race room. Oh yeah, maybe I should explain the privy to others thing. Yeah, well, if you don't have a rich dad, or like Lewis Hamilton, the Formula One driver, his dad worked double shifts so he could pursue his uh, racing dreams, which at the time, mind you, was go-karting. So his dad bought him I think they bought like a used go-kart first, um, and then a little bit later on they got him like a new one or a better one. He drove for a while with that, but I mean, can you imagine working double shifts for your kid's dream? I mean, nothing is more important than the dreams of a child, at least not crushing them, but to sacrifice, I mean, your whole personal life for whatever, for something which only so few of the kids that start with go-karting, or the young people that take an interest in racing, actually become race drivers. You have to have the time, you have to have the money, access to a track course, or some kind of sponsorship. I mean, in the middle there, you're just paying for everything yourself, and it's basically just costing you money unless you take a podium position and get a sponsor. So, but if you are a little couch Schumacher, you can always just get a cheap fucking Xbox wheel or PlayStation wheel, Logitech or something cheap. Hook it up to your computer. You don't even have to have VR. I get VR. You can have single screen, triple screen VR, or just an old thick screen from 1998 and still be faster than like 95% of the people out driving. Let me show you why. When I started, I thought I could drive. I liked to drive. This was 2 years ago. I did a bit of racing, I mean, in real life already. Sorry, I got a message here. No, and to be honest, now, 2 years later, I haven't. I mean, I did drive quite a bit, but not a lot compared to a real sim racer, or let's say a sim racer with a racing license. Sim racing license. I mean, now the sweet thing is that there are actually competitions in, for instance, in this simulator called Race Room. It's an industry simulator. It's free to play for regular people like that. If you just want to test it, you get a few cars and a few tracks for free, which is amazing. But if you go into an arcade game room cafe or whatever, and they have car simulators like O'Leary's, for instance, in Swedish is like a kind of Irish franchise pub. You drive on Race Room, and whatever wheels they have, I think they have Logitech. So it's kind of not very user friendly if you're just a casual punter like me, but I'm going to show it to you. It's pretty realistic. Did I mention that I have problems doing two things at a time? Did you see that nothing happened while I was talking? So if I talk too much and you want action, please just write something in the chat. And if you, by any chance, are Irish, write something in the chat. Are Irish. What do you say? You is Irish. What do you say? You is Irish. testing. För alla som undrar så blir det inte helskärm eftersom det här spelet inte gillar att vara i helskärm. Om man ska köra VR i varje fall. VR kan man nog inte kolla direkt på streamen. Eller det kanske man kan förresten. Det vet jag. Jag är lite osäker på det. Men all right, my gosh golly. We're supposed to have these courses in English. A couple of the guys from clan that I'm in are watching and wanted to have a crash course in driving from scratch, so to speak. And I want to emphasize that these guys all have a driver's license. One of them actually has a Mustang X5, I think. So, and I don't think you will get that car unless you really like to drive. And he drives a lot to work every day and such. And I asked the classical question that I think you should ask yourself when you start to go into racing or sim racing, and that is, can you drive? And a lot of guys, at least guys, they would say, yeah man, I can drive, like I have this car or that car. They have an Audi TT RS or like whatever car they have, maybe something a bit sporty, and they've been to a couple of track days and whatnot. And I mean, sure, these guys can drive for sure, but like I think they're referring to driving to work, for instance, or like handling a car in traffic, in regular traffic. This is not that. This is a whole different story. You could be driving your whole life in traffic on roads, like long driving with powerful cars, whatever, and sure as heck you can drive, but would you really stop that car? Let's say it's a Volvo 240 or something like that, but it's got a bit of a tuned engine. Do you stop and take away the anti-spin control or the ABS when you want to have like a few pushy miles? No, you don't, because they're there to save you, but they're not. If you drive in traffic, sure, because then you will be called upon to do maneuvers, evasive maneuvers, for instance, not at your discretion. This means that you'll be driving on the road, suddenly comes out of nowhere or from the opposite lane or whatever meeting, a car comes over at the wrong lane, or something happens that you cannot govern. Of course, at the race there's even more such stuff, but here rules are carved out in stone on what you can do and not do, and that can still lead to your death or the death of your opponent when someone's careless, and it does happen, of course, as you know. But it's still under strict rules, and I don't think you will see much ladies, because it's mostly ladies now. I'm being sexist now. It's guys at the same extent, I suppose. But I kind of have the feeling I see a lady talking in the phone, texting. Okay, girls, they might be able to handle it actually, because you know that they can multitask much more than we with testicles, but still, when you drive, and when I drive here also in my hometown, or any driving for me, I only drive. If someone calls me, I'll be saying most likely, Mom, I have a condition. I'm not supposed to do several things at once, like unless medicated. So can I just drive, please? And she says, but you're so good at driving. Can't you have a little conversation with your mother at the same time? No, mother. I can't talk to you when I don't feel like talking to you. That was a bad example though, but that's what you should be doing when you're driving. What I mean is, if you can see through the blabbering, when you drive, just fucking drive. Don't do anything else. Put both hands on the wheels at 2:45 and not at 1:50 or anything else. And if you look at the steering wheel, if you look at the top side of it, there's two halves, or it could be like a peace sign with 3 spokes. There's this little kind of round areas where you can actually put your thumbs. If you hold 2:45, yeah, that's what they're for, to put your thumb there through the wheel, locking your hands so you can grip it. And why do you hold it like that and only like that? Yeah, because if you hit a curb or a side of the street or whatever in high speed, the shock from that impact will go up through the steering shaft and from the steering wheel into your hands. And if it's violent enough, it will rip the steering wheel straight out from your hands. That's right. If you get a flat tire, for instance, and the metal digs down into the asphalt, I don't think it matters who's holding the wheel, but there's a bigger chance if you hold like that you can actually hold the wheel and parry, for instance, pretty violent throws and unsettlements of cars. We'll see if I drive fast enough for the wheels to let go, and hopefully I can catch it also. So let's try something not too difficult. Okay, this is difficult but fun, and it easily lets go, so maybe this is good. Oh, what did I not drive here? That one, but it will not let go. But this one will. Let go what? You wonder. The back wheels. Okay, so we're gonna drive my favorite track in the whole wide world, the Nordschleife, situated at Nürburg in Germany. It's pretty close to Stuttgart, I think. Or was it Frankfurt? Frankfurt. Sorry. So it's a different length. We can drive the tourist one now because it's the one you yourself and me also, of course, most likely will be driving. If you ever go there, you can actually drive there, yes. So what you do, you bring your completely normal, not like this one, car to the track, and if it would pass the normal inspection, you can just pay, I think it's 30 euros, and you can drive a lap. It's 20 kilometers. And this cars, buses, motorcycles is fucking mad. Most of you have seen the videos. But here's the sweet thing, you know what it is? They count it in Germany as a regular stretch of road. It's lovely. I love that country. It's just a regular road. But mein Herr, wir kommen nicht anywhere. We are just going round and round. Yes, but in Germany you don't have to get anywhere. You can just drive round and round, and it's completely normal. You can be happy about it. You can drive fast, round, and it's ganz richtig. I love it. There must have been an insurance company or two fucking dying when they realize slowly that they're gonna have to pay for that wrecked race car. It was driven on a regular road. I know what you're thinking. Enough said. Enough said it is. Let's hope you can see this now. Mess with some car settings. Oh no, what did I do now? Idiot. Default. There we go. I'm gonna change the gearing so that it'll get a higher top speed but less acceleration. So now it's vice versa. No, now it's only got two settings. Take the wing down a little bit. So the tail will let go, so we'll see if we can parry some throw-offs. Which would for sure, if you haven't practiced, I don't know about a lot, but you have to practice many hours to like counter when the tires let go, when you start going off the road. And so a normal person would more be lucky, or it would be the car that electronically would save them, kind of slow the wheels down, etc. So we're driving without, let's see, steering settings 600, setup, brake pressure, yeah, we're good to go. Sorry about the noise. I just put my VR headset on. Oh, it's a race. I thought I was alone. Jesus. I have to deal with other madmen. And the settings are very, very unforgivable right now, so this should be a great humiliation. Most likely here, but I'll try not to be last at least. Hope the sound is not too high for anyone listening. try something smarter. So I'm going to show you what the idea is when you start with your car, your mother's car, a rental car. Yeah, exactly. Let's give you that tip because it's fun. Yeah, let's. Okay, so car sharing. För instance, the Bayerische Motorwerke, some of the bigger companies, and I'm rolling in Latin, for instance. They are examples of companies. You didn't hear what I said? I'm sorry, I can't repeat that. They are two companies that will let customers timeshare their cars. Most of you know what it is, but the rest of you have heard about it, and those who haven't heard about it, what are you doing here? And for those who have heard about it, go sign up. You don't have to pay anything to sign up, then you can just use the service. But you will be using it more if you don't have a car, because it's freaking smart. I mean, for Volvo, I got a pretty good deal, but I actually drive without any fixed costs between 11 and 06 in the morning. Yeah, I know it's late, but hey, I do some errands at that time. There's an open pharmacy and whatnot, and I go shopping and go to friends, and then I pay 10 cents per kilometer. One crown per kilometer is, 10 cents more or less. Yeah, it's nothing, I know. So it's very cheap. So actually they must go backwards on that, but I think it's their reason that it's better to go a little bit backwards than kind of fall. Group 5, yeah, okay. We're driving, not DTM. We are gonna drive, touring is nice. Touring is a BMW, Nissan. What do you know? Ingvar Kamprad's completely rebuilt post-mortem 240 turbo. We just call it Kamprad. But today his name is Teemu Hirvonen. So if you look here, you see physics model. Get Real is the most advanced one, obviously, and also the hardest one. That will be, according to the makers of Game Room, the closest to real life driving that you can get in this sim, which is an industry sim, so it should be that good. But like I said, different story G-wise to drive for real, but otherwise for the muscle memory, if you have a good setup and it's giving you the proper force feedback that you should be getting, then yes, even with the low standards that I have a home-built racing seat made from driftwood. Well, I am a pirate after all, so kind of logic, that's all the wood I'll ever find. Plundered shores. And it's a camping seat also. I'm sitting in so I can fold everything down when the government tires of my blabbering and sim driving. So here we go. Can drive a Volvo on, let's do it on Brands Hatch. I'm not that good on Brands Hatch and I want to learn, so let's take it. And here's the deal, I'm gonna try not to use the brakes at all, and we'll take Y afterwards. So this is lesson number 1. It's actually supposed to be lesson number 3, but the lesson 3 guys didn't turn up. So we'll do it from scratch for anyone who's watching. Racing lesson number 1. How to use the brakes, or in this case, not use the brakes. So in theory we're going to learn how to drive safely first, and then later we might learn how to drive fast. But the thing is, if you just start how to drive safely on a track, for instance, then you will learn how to drive fast automatically. It sounds weird, but that's the way it is. You have to respect all the rules. They all work together, and this is a game of small margins, mostly. And crossing those can ultimately mean death, severe injury. How many laps is it now? 5. And the cars. Okay, so I'm not gonna stay like this instead. Let's go without the other cars. Single player leaderboard challenge. Touring. Okay, let's take Brands out. There we are. So why the fuss about not using the brakes? Yeah, the thing is, of course, if you need to go really fast, or with a really fast car, or also depending on a very tricky track, for instance, of course you will have to use the brakes. But honestly, I use them as little as possible. It's kind of a panic button from the beginning, brakes. It's like if you can't control the car, if you lose control of the car from the beginning, when it was T Ford or A Ford and those old cars with the fixed rubber tires and whatnot, pulling the brakes, because then you actually pulled them, it was a physical lever that went down on the wheel and well, made the vehicle stop. It was because you'd done something wrong. It's not exactly the same here, but you don't also have to use your brakes to brake. You can brake with your engine, for instance, and that's what we're going to learn now, because if you don't brake with your engine also, when you need to brake very, very heavily from coming 300 kilometers an hour towards a hairband, you will crash and die. So you need to listen up and learn. Here we go. So what happened there? It's not skipping a little bit, but as I changed gears, I released the clutch. And it was braking for me. Lowering the brakes. There we go again. Next bend. Just let off gas. Now I let go down to 2, 3. Stand on brakes. And without brakes I came... yeah, last. Of course. What's the time? 58. What's the record? 46. By a Swedish guy, but he's using a Hungarian flag. No, Irish. I mean Irish flag. Hungary, but they are pretty similar, aren't they? Most likely there's no Irish people listening anyway. Sorry for the offense. Alright, so lesson number 1. Take a manual car. Find a parking lot or something like a box where you can drive. The sides should be at least 200 meters, I think. And the tops would be 100 then. So kind of a rectangle. And drive around it just like with 4 corners, not using the brakes. Go slow first. Then after a while you'll realize that if you kind of take the corner a bit earlier or go out and take it and kind of roll the car over so it's leaning towards the side and gets pressed down into the asphalt and therefore gets better grip when you're taking the corner fast at the proper apex, then you'll realize that you can actually drive pretty quickly without using the brakes at all. So now I'm going to try and drive the course that we drove just earlier, the long one, the Nordschleife. I'm going to drive it alone just to show you and see if I can drive it with using as little brakes as possible. Or maybe not at all, but then I think it'll be a little bit too slow. Now you can most likely not see this. I'll see if I can bring it up. Single event. Oh, right, no opponents. Practice then. I'm gonna have to try this car because I haven't tried it. I do like to try the Volvo, but it's a bit like a tractor. Here we go. Oh, Spa. Well, it's another track, but no matter. We'll take this one instead. Spa is in Belgium. AFK for a minute. I need to go to the answer. back. Alright, I had to mess with settings again as usual. Race Room is a bit of a hassle to get started, but once it's up and running, it's actually one of the best sims out there. Unless you count in the social factors, which is not very good here. It's kind of hard to find a good race actually. Unless you're in a game room. Oh, my driving gloves, just a sec. It might sound silly, but I actually do have driving gloves on me when I drive, otherwise I get calluses. Since the resistance in the wheel is pretty strong actually at times, depending on settings, but no, it's not real driving gloves. It's golf gloves actually that I cut off the fingers on, because they were breaking up. So I've already used up one pair, more or less. I can still have them, but they're looking like shit, to be honest. Got a couple of holes in them. Right, here we go. No brakes, if possible, or very little. And on the Spa course, which is in Francorchamps in Belgium, it's a very classical and old course. It's been around for a long time. Oh, I've got a car.